And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for another edition of NWF Rewind. I am Dixie Dave, along with my co-host,
Crossen, and we're back again for another week, another episode, and this time we're going back early again, Dave, back to 1985.
Now, this show has some historic relevance for us.
That it does. It's well, I mean, the big thing is it was the last show. Well, this isn't the big thing, but it was the last show that went by the Twin Cities Wrestling Federation name. So the TWF, this was the last one. And it was the first show to go nationwide to all 22 states. We've talked about that before, how NWF was national, and it was in major cities across the country, and this was the kickoff show that we did that with. So 22 major cities and 22 different states. Cities like New York, I'm just going to go for my memory here, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Dallas, Omaha, Chicago. I'm missing so many here.
Didn't we hit like Denver?
Denver, yes. How could I forget Denver? I believe San Diego as well, San Francisco, and there were also some more on the East Coast.
Atlanta, maybe?
Yeah, didn't I say Atlanta? Yeah, Atlanta for sure. So yeah, there was 22 states. I'd have to get my notes out to see exactly which ones they were, but because, and the name always reflected the show. So because we were national, I thought, at least national enough to me, I thought, why are we calling ourselves the Twin Cities Wrestling Federation? We're going to all these states. So I figured we're changing the name again. And this was the last time we changed it to National Wrestling Federation. So the following week, it was the NWF from there on.
And if I also remember stories, behind the scenes stories, this is also the show that got you in trouble with your parents.
Mm-hmm. Remember, well, new kids these days have no clue how that was, but old folks like us know how that went. Back in those days, long distance was a fortune. And if you called long distance, it was like per minute, and it would just rack up. And I had to call all these cable companies in all these major cities to set up our time slot and to let them know I'll be sending them tapes every week, and to just make sure, A, we can do it, and B, this is how I'm going to do it, and kind of go over the whole process. And it took 15 minutes per city at least, per company, to do that.
Right, so, you take 15 minutes, say it's 10 cents a minute.
Yeah. Oh, it was more than that. You're like 50 cents a minute in those days.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going for round figures, but
yeah.
You take a 15-minute call, that's almost a $4 call.
Yeah, no, it wasn't quite 50 cents, but I think it was at least a quarter. But yeah, it just racked up. It was hundreds and hundreds of dollar phone bill. And my mom was livid. My parents were divorced at that time, but my mom, she got that phone bill and she just went through the roof. She's like, what the hell are you doing calling all these states? She wasn't an NW. She didn't care if it was for the NWF or not. She just looked at the dollar figure on that phone bill. But yeah,
if I may say hello to my daughter, who I believe it's my daughter watching.
Oh yeah, I just noticed we got comments here. Yep. Yeah, so big expense there. So, but anyways, so this, and also another significant part of this show, Dave. This was the first show where Jackknife Jacob /quit/fired. We got rid of Jackknife Jacob on this show, and he quit, however you want to word it, and we all kind of chime in on it. And so this was the show that famous incident took place, where we really,
all right,
which I'm not too fond of today, but back then, man, it was like, you're gonna quit, fine, you quit. And then we just threw him out there and said he's out. We just didn't look back at the time. Just kept going forward. Not the right thing to do though. As an adult, I would never have done it like that. I'm not gonna Vince McMahon somebody. That's just not my character, you know.
Nowadays,
So
if Jackknife Jacob got a hold of you and said, "I want to come on the show," you'd be more than welcome.
right. So and
You
yeah,
know, I mean, heck, I mean, we're even talking about letting Pretty Boy Taylor come on the show.
as a guest, yeah, he really wants to, and I'm all for it. Like I
You
said
know,
before, Dave, we can rehash the past and bitch all we want and complain all we want of how things went, or we can just look back at what we all did that was really wonderful, good thing, and all the positives that came from it, and go with that. Well, I'd rather do that, you know.
yeah.
So,
I mean, we're all, 30 plus years older and have matured and grown.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. So this is going to be a fun show to watch. It's now remember again, I want to remind everybody we've watched a lot of later episodes, and the wrestling was more polished. Wasn't perfect, but it was certainly more polished. In these earlier shows, it's very amateur, very rough, very
Very
learning,
raw.
very raw, and very, we're still a lot younger and just learning what we're kind of feeling our way through this whole thing. So it wasn't really a working ring. So you got that too.
Right.
So, but it was a popular show. Let me tell you, even though the show is in these early stages, I can tell you firsthand going to school, everybody knew of this show and lots of people watched it. I will say that.
Well, as I remember you talking about it, didn't you actually, in school, you'd hear kids talking about it, but they wouldn't realize that it was you that was Crusher Crossen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 8th grade in math class, and I'm sitting there and I remember it. And this is just what I remember, but this happened multiple times. These guys in front of me, they were the cool kids. In school, I was kind of even though on the show I was popular and branded it and the number one guy. In school, I was not like that. I was very quiet. I was very shy. Didn't talk to a lot of people, and I was just kind of hidden in disguise, I guess you could say. And I remember listening to these two popular kids chatting away, describing them, and they were just he was telling them how this match went and what happened, and two referees, and then he throws both the referees up, and it was the main event from our show that just aired last night. And that was in the garage. We were in the garage at that time, but not too far after the taping we're going to watch here, actually, Dave. It was probably a couple months later. And that happened.
All right.
And it was funny, just to hear that. Now, they didn't know who it was me back there, but I'm listening like, gosh, she's talking about our match. She's talking about our stuff. And that's kind of funny. And this kid was in wrestling.
He was on the school wrestling team.
School wrestling, yeah, and he was a fan. He was completely into it, telling his friend about it. So I didn't remember the
joys that we had.
Yeah, it was funny. A lot of kids though, teachers too, also would comment on it. I would have lots of teachers talk to me about it. They recognized me, especially when we were on the news. That's when we got a lot of that, but. With teachers and people wanting to know. But I guess we've been talking quite a bit. We should probably start the show, huh, Dave?
Alrighty, sounds good. Let's roll the footage.
And we don't have a guest this week. It's just me and Dave. We want to kind of all spread our guests out a little bit, so we don't want to have a guest every week, right?
Right.
All right, so let's get on with the episode here. So, as you'll see in this intro, it's going to say the Kids Twin Cities Pro Wrestling Show. That's what we called the show in these days. And sanctioned by, and we're going to get the name here. It's going to be TWF, the Twin Cities Wrestling Federation. You know why it's federation and it's not association like it was originally, right, Dave?
Yeah, because if I remember the story correctly, you had gotten a cease and desist from TWA Airlines.
Well, it wasn't an official cease and desist in those harsh words, but it was a letter asking us to not use those call letters because it was their trademark. So
Right.
we were on every cable system in the metro, so it doesn't surprise me that Trans World Airlines caught wind of it. They had it was one of their major hubs.
Jacob was suspended for 5 shows from the TWF, but instead he decided to quit.
So Rich is explaining
The
this.
fabulous one,
The
Peterson,
Jackknife Jacob's no
is
longer on the
taking over
show.
the Jackknife Jacobs family. We'll be seeing that later on. But now
Rich
let's get on
Taylor
to our first match.
Was
Entering
an
the ring at
excellent
this time, weighing in at
announcer for
120
us,
pounds,
Dave, back in
from
these days.
Moscow, the
Right.
Russian Destruction.
He was
And
only
here
on the
coming to
show for a
TWF,
short time, though.
seconded by the fabulous one,
But
Peterson.
on a lot of the studio tapings in Group W,
Sean was suspended for
Right.
five
he was
shows.
really
I don't know
good.
why.
Very
Jackknife
professional.
Jacob, whatever. I don't know what his name is.
Now,
Who cares?
what did you
I'm
use
sick of
to
him. And
hang the
I personally
microphone
am
from the
glad that he's
ceiling?
out. But now,
Yeah, so
how
now
does this sound?
there's
The
pipes up there
Peterson
that hold all the
family,
lights,
good?
so we just string it up through the pipes,
Don't know.
and then you have
Oh,
to pull
okay.
it from one side, and then jerk it up to have it drop down. The weight of the mic would just come
Washington,
down.
D.C., Kid,
Yep.
USA, Kelsey, seconded by Merciless.
Mike Ackerman had just come from Hawaii on vacation, so he's got the Maui shirt and
Yep.
Kid Kelsey, fresh here. He just was in the show only for, this is probably his 4th or 5th show only.
And Kelsey, I hope you see this, and we'd love to have you on as a guest in the future.
Yep, and he said he wants to come on, so we're gonna hopefully get him here, Dave. Maybe next month.
All you got to do is reach out to Crossen and
Yeah. I know Troy Dazowski's, both of them, I think, are looking forward to
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
when Matt comes
Show
on.
number 32 of the Kids Twin Cities Wrestling
So
Federation
this is
with
the Russian
Kid Kelsey
Destruction,
opening
and
up
your
offensively
first
on
Russian
the
character,
Russian
and
Destruction.
it's actually Ace Andrew Carlson. That was Ace. When he first came on the show, he was the Russian Destruction, and it lasted just this show. The following week, he just said, I'm not doing this gimmick. I want to just be Ace. And
yeah.
he became Ace. And I don't even know. I think Kelsey came up with that name for him.
Peterson and Jackknife allowed
To
the
call him
Russian
Ace.
family. Joining me at ringside
Yeah.
right now is Crusher Crossen.
But yeah, that's Andrew
Crusher
Carlson
Crossen
in the mask as the Russian
details on why
Destruction.
Jackknife Jacob was suspended.
Okay, I know the whole story, Rich. I
And,
was the one who phoned him and told him he was
We're talking
suspended
about the suspension of
because he
Jacob
did not
here,
want to
and
come and wrestle on the show.
me and Rich are.
He,
I'm telling the
he was
truth.
just being- pardon me, he was just plain old spoiled in a TWF. So I told him he's suspended for 5 years, and he did say some profanity thing, which I.
And that he did.
he said-
Rob and I got into it on the
I
phone
said,
when
"That's fine."
this all
I said,
happened.
"Remember, Jackknife,
The reason he
come
was
back, that's
suspended
okay."
was because he missed shows, and in those days, if you missed
Inside
shows,
scoop, Crusher.
I would suspend you.
Rich, back onto this Russian. I don't know.
And he didn't like the
This
suspension,
Moscow
but Rob and I
Moscow
were just
whatever
butting
it
heads
is,
too
Chelsea
much at
Moscow
this
or
point.
something
We
like
were
that.
just
I know what he's doing with TWF,
conflicts
but he
and
has a lot of
ego things going
TWF
on between him and I,
tactics
and how the direction of the
that he
show
very
and
well
everything.
see.
So this was just the
Kid
tip.
Kelsey
Was the tip of the
dominating
iceberg for
the
both of
Russian
us.
right now.
Him
Yep.
and I.
Some into the ropes, and it's a clothesline. And the Russian goes down.
Rob
Okay.
was,
Kid
but
Kelsey
take nothing
doing
away,
back
Rob
down,
was
setting him up
very
for the
talented
figure
on the show.
four.
He was really good. He was probably the best heel we had back
And
then.
there it is. Figure 4 submission hold, very painful.
He was
hold.
really good.
How long can the Russian hold out?
So it was a loss when we had, when
As the
Rob
Russian
quit.
submits,
That
that's
was a
it.
loss for us.
Yeah.
And now Kid Kelsey goes to work
I'd
on the
let's
mask.
imagine where it would have went with Rob if he would have stayed with it. If he would have been with all those armory cards and stuff. I mean, Rob was very talented,
But
both as a heel and as an
Peterson
announcer.
quickly breaking up along with
Now we felt comfortable with Rich Taylor because Rich was very good at commentating and announcing. So we felt pretty good with having Rich, losing Rob at that time. Rich always dressed the part. Always had usually a suit and tie, or at least a tie, and he just
We'll be
looked.
back
But he
right
was
after
so
this
much bigger than all
interview.
of us. See, Rich was in 11th grade. He was a lot older. He was a couple years older than us, and so he was just physically a big announcer for us.
Yeah.
We did a really cool thing with Rich Taylor a few shows from, like, well, actually it was a show before this. We had him. Remember when Hulk Hogan picked Mean Gene to be his partner?
You're sitting there
Yeah.
drinking a can of
I
pop
picked
and
Rich
snorting
Taylor to
all
be
that
my
sweet
partner
stuff.
to go against the
You're
Peterson
a
family
fat
that fought
Kelsey, I
week
told
before
ya.
this. So
You
Rich
gotta
actually got in the ring and started
well-trained breakfast.
wrestling with us. It was fun. He was like a big Andre the Giant guy compared to all of us.
Yeah.
Because he's physically
Now,
so much
is
bigger.
this being filmed at your house?
Yeah, this is at my house. Kelsey is for pretending it's Kelsey's house, and we're doing the whole Hulk Hogan trains Mean Gene gimmick here.
I'll tell you where this goes, right in the garbage. No more sweets.
So I'm trying to get Kelsey into shape.
At 8 o'clock,
Yep.
it's 1:45. And now you're eating
I think
breakfast.
Brian Peterson is actually the camera operator here, if I remember correctly.
I had a rough night. There. The place I can't even move.
So remember how they
Kelsey, I don't believe
when Hogan was training Mean Gene, they did that thing where they drank the raw eggs.
Yep.
Well, we do that, but we kind of add a little twist to it. You'll see here.
stuff. We're all done with Pepsi. 2 eggs.
Did you guys actually get the eggs down?
Well, you'll see what we do.
Settle down, Kelsey.
Kelsey's freaking out,
Nutrition.
as I would if I was him.
Seen enough of them.
But he didn't know my
Oh, I
plan.
tried.
Sitting down.
I tried doing eggs once. Ugh.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Now, I'm not done yet. Gotta mix it with some milk. Extra nutrition.
Oh no.
Ah.
Kelsey's freaking out.
Mix it all up.
Kelsey and I were really tight at this point in time. We
Yeah.
had stayed over at each other's house several times. We were really good friends, and
Active.
so this was the peak of our friendship, really. Now I'm putting barbecue sauce in there, is what that is.
Oh no.
Little mystery concoction. Then we mix it all up, and you'll see why I did this, because there's no way in hell I was gonna drink this or Kelsey.
Yep.
So we mix both of them up.
Oh, doesn't that look good? Not really. I have this every
Oh,
You're crazy.
I can't imagine right now
All stirred up.
trying to down that.
And a little pause of the camera, and it turns. We convert that to just a normal chocolate milk. Because there's no way in hell that we're gonna drink that.
Get it down there, Kelsey. Ah,
Good act by Kelsey.
Yeah. Yeah, he did sell it.
every morning.
Telling you,
Oh,
Kelsey
yeah.
could.
Milk put away.
Kelsey can sell when he wants to, but
Every morning, Kelsey. Now let's go to your room. You sure you want to do that? Yep.
Yeah, this is So now we're gonna go to his room.
Where's your room? This one is. This is your room? Where's your room? Come over your room. Here. Okay, hold on. Kelsey, let me handle it. Jesus. Kelsey, what is this? My room? This is a regular pig pen.
you're calling it a pig pen when it's probably your bedroom.
It is, but I messed it up.
What is this? Your dressing
Ah.
I don't normally have it that messy.
What's this? Pepsi. I tell you, no more Pepsi, no more sweets, no more sweets. And look it. Full of Pepsi cans. At a party.
At a party. So then this whole video turns into the training at Carpy's Court, where we actually take Kelsey to Carpy's Court, and we played Eye of the Tiger. Of course, I had to I remember this guy here in the footage in the corner. He knew he was on video, so he's trying to make himself look tough while he's in there lifting weights on our video.
Yeah. Gave a little flex on the side of the shot there.
Yeah,
Oh, come on, Kelsey. You can pedal better than that.
I know.
Is that Carlson right behind you?
No, Andrew wasn't there for this. It was just me and Mike, and I think Adam Nash was here with us, and Brian Peterson in the back.
Oh, okay.
Now, what you gotta do, Kelsey, is you gotta take off that carbohydrated sweet soda. I don't want to see you drinking anymore. Your room was flooded with pop cans. I mean, it was a pig pen. It looked like Max's junkyard. We're gonna get you cleaned up.
Maxie's junkyard. That was a junkyard in Anoka. I think it's still there. Maxie's salvage.
If you're talking about the one out by
At the fairgrounds?
I don't remember if it's still out there or not.
Yeah.
That area's really gotten built up out there.
And that's all.
Yeah, we didn't normally do a whole lot of segments like that. That was one of the few where we did a whole little outside the show segment. One of the few that we did.
Welcome back to the TWI.
That's Rich Taylor again. I tell you, Rich was so good.
We're ready to get underway the second match.
So professional he was.
First of all,
If there's somebody, he would have to be one of the front runners for the announcer category for our Hall of Fame coming up next year. Our
Yep.
final Hall of Fame. Hall of Recognition, as I like to say. He was playing Born in the USA. I had to lower the music, but
Yeah.
What are you doing teamed up with a Russian?
he's doing it. Peterson's doing it in spite because he's with the Russian.
Introducing his opponent.
So he's doing it just to make,
pounds, along with Crusher Crossen and
to
Kid
insult
USA
all of us.
Kelsey, Superfly, Rich Walker.
Oh, this Russian comes in from overseas and all that, thinks he's big. Look, he lost to our main man right here, Kid Kelsey.
Superfly Rich is about 100 richer.
Well, let's take this
Yeah,
down
we
to
kept
ringside.
messing around with
One
that money
fall
all the
match,
time in those
20-minute
shows. You'd like
time
try to
limit.
buy each other off.
Take it down to ringside.
Yep.
Brian always had this dress up, the bow tie, the pink, nice button-up pink shirt, nice, that same outfit. He always wore that, and that was part of his gimmick, having that look.
Yeah. I almost thought maybe he was going for a Fabulous One's look.
Yeah, he used to call himself
Bow tie.
the Fabulous One, Brian Peterson.
Ah.
In fact, that's what his name was, the Fabulous One, Brian Peterson. So I think that's why the bow tie, actually. Now that you mention it. See Ryan Kelsey there as the referee. This was his first or second show.
Oh, okay. You know,
Brian.
well, we're in the moment here.
We're back here, the second match.
I
of the show.
personally would like more of the
Superfly
alumni from
Rich
the
Walker
NWF
versus
to get in touch with us and come on the show with us.
Yeah.
as he's setting them up
Anybody
for some kind of
Anybody
leg
that's on our
hold. The
show
Orlando leg lock,
is
I
welcome
believe
to be a
he calls
guest.
it.
Exactly.
I don't care if you were there for a show or
As he
two,
grabs the ropes.
or you're there for several years.
Peterson,
Everybody's welcome.
Well, I mean, look, I was only there
as
for a
Kid
brief
USA
time, but I'm your
taking the
co-host.
mask off the Russian destruction. The Russian destruction behind the curtain. And
There's
putting
guys,
his mask back
Dave,
on.
that I've seen over the years. Like, I remember we had this wrestler called Ghetto Blaster. He was there for one show.
It's full Nelson
I
now
seen
by-
him several years
by
later, and he
Fabulous One
still
Peterson.
remembered and talked about it with me and everything.
As he
So
brings Walker over.
coming on the
Russian
show was quite a
destruction.
memory for a lot of
Taking a
kids,
shot at him now. Kid
even if it
USA
was
Kelsey going over,
short-lived.
Working on the Russian destruction.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were young kids. We were getting television exposure.
On that hard floor. Is whipping
Yeah.
the ropes. By
Brian was really rough though. At this time in this stage of the show, Brian was the roughest wrestler we had. He was the Tim Holland of the day,
Ah.
and he would get rough with you, and really would hit you with those steel chairs. Once he'd get a chair in his hands, he'd whack you with it. Gave Mike a
Yeah.
concussion on one of the tapings. Yeah.
Did you hear the ref calling for the break?
Brian was his move he liked to do was a figure 4 leg lock, and he did it a lot. It's pretty. That was kind of his signature
Peterson wants
move.
to get on the attack for Superfly
All
Rich
right.
Walker.
Iron spike.
Kelsey trying to interfere.
It's a chokehold, ref. Would you break the choke?
As Kitty St. Kelsey furious at ringside over the hold that fabulous one Peterson.
I remember we used to put microphones underneath that stage to get the sound
Crusher,
effects.
Crusher, what do you got to say?
We had like 8
Hey,
mic
you know-
inputs.
And Crusher got called back to the
A
ring.
lot of
Check out
companies
Superfly
do
Rich
that.
Walker, ladies and gentlemen.
Do they really?
So
Yeah.
we'll hear from Crusher a little bit later on.
I mean, I never. Back then, I had no clue. I just figured I wanted to get all the sound. You
Fabulous one
know.
Peterson.
You know, that's one thing I will say. We were
Derek Madman Nash,
way ahead of our time.
but Nash not affected very much by it.
Yeah, it was around this time. Interestingly enough, Dave, a few shows before this, we had our 25th anniversary,
Peterson's the one
and
that makes it to the ropes.
on that show, I wanted to have a. I called it the Family Feud match. It was a 10-man elimination tag team match, 2 families,
To the Superfly.
and I call it the Family Feud match.
It's
Yep,
about
I was
three
just
or-
going to ask you about that.
destruction from
3 or
behind.
4 years later, that became
The Survivor
the
Series.
Survivor Series.
It's a couple of headbutts by Peterson.
Yeah,
Not
and we
phased
did
by
it first.
as,
Superfly all that much.
as we mentioned before,
Series of left and right.
you and I had multiple talks about having
But
a show
Superfly
called
not
Star
affected.
Cage.
Yep, Starcade 87.
There's a time
Yep,
running
that
time in this
night,
match.
all matches were going to be held inside of a steel cage.
Yeah, that was going to be it. Our March Armory card was going to be Starcade.
Superfly Rich Walker.
And years later,
1 minute left in this match.
the
1
League
minute.
TNA, they had Lethal Lockdown.
Yep, Dusty
As
Rhodes
it's
booked
smashed in the
that.
back by the Russian destruction.
20
Yep.
years later. But we were going to, we didn't, we can't say we did it first, but we thought of it first. Let's just say that.
Yep.
We actually did promos for it and everything.
A pile driver.
In fact, I got you on an interview for it.
From the fabulous one Peterson. 30 seconds remaining.
I think we were
in this
talking
match,
about the
30
Invaders. A possible
Yep.
rematch in the cage.
Yeah, but then we dropped the national tag titles.
Yeah.
seconds. There's a ram into the post.
Wow, look at how dangerous. That if he would have caught his head on that thing, no
Oh,
padding
yeah,
on
you
that.
And you could just see how loose that
15
is.
seconds left in
It's
this
just
match.
wobbling in the.
You know, I'd love to get in touch with Rich Walker
There's
again,
enough time for
Superfly Rich.
Superfly Rich
He's
Walker
he's
makes
on
it to the
Yep.
Facebook, but I can never get his attention at all to know who I'm. You know, to get him to accept a friend request or anything.
There's another,
But Rich was for the short time he was on the show, he was a real diehard. I remember I went over to. He lived in Anoka in an apartment, and I went over to his place one time. And they were
Yep.
kind of low income family. They weren't the rich or anything. It was kind of one of those kind of rundown apartments. But his room was just plastered with wrestling posters, the whole wall to wall.
Yep.
Yep, he was really into wrestling.
Oh. I don't think he ever made it over to my place.
Oh, did you have
Into
the
my
same
room.
thing?
Oh, yeah. I bet when my mom moved out of that apartment, she had to pay a big fine for holes in the walls.
Yeah. And Rich
Because I
Walker,
literally had it.
thumbtacks.
Yep, I put them up with thumbtacks, and I had them from ceiling to floor, wall to wall, around the windows in my bedroom.
That's right. Brian, I don't know. All I know is jackknife's been...
Well, while we were at Carpy's Court, we thought we'd do a bunch of interviews in the locker room. Thought it was a cool spot to do interviews.
Brian's got something called the Russian...
You know, I was gonna say that Rich Walker that we just seen, Superfly Rich. He
Yep.
he had a younger brother named Jerry Walker, and went by Mr. Wonderful Walker. He was only on our show a handful of times, but he wore the wrestling singlet because he was in high school school wrestling. And he, from what I've seen from his Facebook profile, went on to do like UFC fighting at a local
Oh,
level.
okay.
Yeah, he got into that locally.
Okay. Ready for the
So
next
kind of
match.
cool thing.
One fall, title defense. Introducing the challenger, weighing in at 58 pounds, Killer Campa.
He announced Camp at 58 pounds. There's no way Camp is 58.
Killer Campa weighing at 58 pounds out of Nashville, Tennessee.
50.
You know, I will say one
Where have
thing.
you been? 78.
Oh, excuse me, 78 pounds, I'm sorry. And we're waiting the arrival of
One
the
thing I'm
champion of
noticing
the
about the
TWF,
ring announcer,
Crossen.
Yeah.
he's got kind of a Terry Gordy look to him.
Yeah, he does. That he does.
I mean,
We all
facial
we-
features.
We all liked Rich. You know, Rich Taylor is
Yep.
his name. Everybody liked him. He was so. Everybody got along with Rich. He's very likable. Again, Camp always having that professional look, like he's a wrestler. You know, usually no shirt. And those half shirts we wore back then. Look at the half shirt I got on.
I could be scrambling.
Those 80s
And if
half
I'm
shirts.
correct,
I've decided why.
yep. So cringeworthy now.
Other guys interfered twice.
Yeah.
And their man's disqualified. So if you
Camp and I have
interfere
had,
twice,
up to this
you
point,
interfere
so
twice,
many
you
matches with each
interfere
other.
twice, you interfere twice.
We,
Let's take it down.
I was doing a horrible
inside.
job
One
because you see
fall,
me, but I was
20
telling him
minute
to
time
slap
limit.
me. I wanted him to slap me in the face to get it started. But Camp, I
And
had a
our
lot of
referee, Kid USA Kelsey.
Yep. Got the ref shirt tucked in properly. Camp had a lot of trust though. He trusted me in that ring.
Because
I would do a lot of high risk moves with him.
Hot and heavy. Crusher Crossen in the title defense versus Killer Campa. One fall, 20-minute time limit.
The final TWF title defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing. Oh, that Russian kept interfering and all that. Well,
Yeah, Crusher Cross and Killer Camp are
Peterson,
really
you
pretty
see
big
that.
rivalry back in these days. That was a match we did a lot.
Oh yeah.
I was seeing that Peterson could not pin me.
This ring again, it's not really a ring, but I'm gonna call it a ring. It looked like one, but you couldn't, it wasn't a working ring. Like, we'd have to fake hit the ropes almost. You really couldn't, unless you're the Super Ds, you couldn't hit them.
Well, Peterson,
Yeah.
it just shows that you have to have
You know, as
people help
guys
you.
our size.
Well, I don't.
And they keep you in there, but
You heard it.
I mean, a guy like me at that point in time could not have hit him.
No. And we tried to climb him, we never could climb him. I mean,
Crusher.
so, you know, getting
Lifting him up by
eventually
the
we
neck
would
and
lose the
dropping him
rights
and
to use the
smashing
studio
him.
because they would get rid of the stage. It was probably
Yep.
a good thing. It made the show grow because by getting rid of this stage, we were able to then create more of a working ring in my garage and eventually
15
to the
minutes
Fred
down
Moore
this
ring,
match.
which
15
then led to
minutes.
the real professional wrestling ring.
Yep.
So, you know, had we not gotten out of the studio, I don't know if we could have grown it
Crusher
to that.
Crossen.
You know,
Almost
if we
fell right
would
Yep.
have been left with this, it would have never grown to the point where we were, where we
Action hot
got.
and heavy.
You know,
Right.
There's now Killer Campa going for an Indian deathlock, but broken up by the Crusher. And Crusher Crossen lifting him high over his head. An atomic drop.
typical moves
Oh,
you'd
that
see in
is,
the
ladies and
80s:
gentlemen.
atomic drops,
As
body
Killer
slams,
Campa's gonna have to see a
clotheslines.
chiropractor after that one.
Exactly.
These are all
That'll
80s
knock your
moves.
spine out of line so fast.
You're barred unless you're sitting in that chair.
This is back when a wrestling match was a wrestling match, not a
Yeah.
flip flop and fly.
As the ref being rammed into the post.
You're not letting me in here. Let me in your seat.
Oh come on, ref! That wasn't a.
As referee shouting his
Brian
instructions.
Peterson instigating stuff outside the ring.
As referee Matt Kelsey.
Do you know your manners yet? You don't know your manners yet?
As Kid Kelsey issuing the verdict. Killer Camp is disqualified because of interference.
I was pissed. I'm like, no way. This wasn't supposed to be the finish. I'm like, no, and I'm trying to tell him to reverse it.
For ring interference.
So I was mad. I didn't want the match to end like this.
Hey, at least you took a bump for that.
Yeah. No, I wanted this match to keep going. I didn't want it to end. This wasn't the finish that we had planned. So I did an interview later, and it was all planned out because I was supposed to beat Killer Campa here, and I did, but it didn't happen the way I describe it in the interview later now.
Right.
Andrew Carlson as the Russian Destruction, and it lasted all but this show. Because next week he was Andrew Carlson. He didn't want to do that gimmick anymore.
Yep.
There's Adam Nash, Dynamite Dude, as an announcer for us,
Let me tell
doing
you,
an interview.
you just haven't seen me taking care of that camp.
I don't know where I got that black glove. I never brought it to the show.
Longest than anybody, but you know, certainly on my mind. And I'm sure it's on the whole wrestling federation.
This interview was actually taped in my basement.
Jealous Jacob.
There was a bunch of the kids that were slept over that night, so we did interviews.
He's not
Yep.
going to be back. We phoned him. We told him he's suspended for 5 shows. He said he's going to quit, and we're just having a party here at the TWF because he's out. It's party time.
we're still talking about how Jackknife's not on the show anymore.
Little dude. There's a lot more. Now, as you've seen how I pinned Killer Campa, the former TWF champion.
See how I talk about pinning Campa? That's why I was mad.
Yep.
And
Because that just screwed up the whole interview.
As far as Peterson goes, Mike will settle him outside the ring, handcuffed to him. But let me tell you, I know that I very well know that.
Yeah, this is where actually it's ironic, Dave. This interview being taped where we used to do the show with the bed mattresses way back in the beginning.
Well,
Yep.
folks, that's the
Same spot actually.
It's a word from Crusher Crossen, but I'm not finished. I got a lot more. Little dude, take a seat on the ground and let me finish. I am talking. No, as I was saying when I was
That American flag, that's the flag we used in the garage. It's the flag we brought to Fred Moore. We use that flag quite a bit on the show.
Take on this Russian destruction.
We used to do I think I told you this, we used to actually do at the beginning of the show for a long time, we'd do the national anthem.
Outside there, but it's not coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
You know, it's kind of different nowadays, but back then you were pretty patriotic. You know,
Exactly.
everybody didn't matter what side of the aisle you were. Everybody was proud of their country back in those days.
Well, back in those days, we do the Pledge of Allegiance every day before school started.
Yeah, I remember that.
Welcome back. We're ready for the next match. Entering the ring
So
at this
back
time,
into the studio.
newcomer to the TWF, the Russian Destruction out of Moscow. Escorted, of course, by Peterson, who elegantly falls into the ring.
Ball. Hey, you see that last show? Or a couple shows back, you try and get over and you say that's a Sean side coming in the ring, and I believe it.
Get out of my face,
I
Peterson.
believe it, boy.
Get out of my face, boy. Entering the ring at this time, the Russian Destruction.
Peterson was so good at being a heel.
Opponent, just back from Hawaii.
Just the way he acts. He's the guy you love to hate.
TWF Team Champions, Merciless Mike Ackerman. Take it away, Merciless.
Oh, brother. Hey, Rich, calm down. What is this?
Oh, Rich going after Peterson.
Destruction. Bull tweet.
Number 1. That's just how you talk. Clean Lake.
That's how he's talking.
See how Peterson would get under your skin? He just would get
Oh,
under
yeah.
your skin. Get you so mad. I can remember being in that ring and being so furious with Brian because he just would embarrass you or say something or just get under your skin. And I would just, I just want to hit him. I wanted to hit him so bad. That's how mad we all would get. Kelsey, me, everybody, Mike. We would just get furious with him.
Well,
And
that's
that's
the point of a heel.
And that is. So it's like, I'm glad Brian was like that, because God, it'd be so boring if he
20
wasn't.
minute time limit.
To give that chemistry, you know.
Let's take it up to the ring.
Exactly.
Action.
You know,
Yeah. Go ahead.
one thing that we've talked about in the past that I can't wait for is I can't wait till those NWF national tag titles come in.
Yep. Gonna get having those shortly. The Dixie Dave special.
Yep.
Got the preliminary designs back on the NWF lightweight tag belt. They look
Oh,
pretty good.
that's cool.
We shared.
So the
the
Super
rough
D's will have to
designs.
get a hold of you.
Control of the match. This Russian destruction. I'm sure Brian.
Yeah,
Pearson's gonna teach him
I
a lot of
mean,
moves, a lot of wrestling tactics.
If they can afford to spend the money on it, they should, if anybody should get those belts, it should be them guys.
Exactly.
Yep.
Merciless Mike is taking control of the match. What's this?
Kind of a nice little thing that memento to have in your trophy case.
Not quite. We didn't have.
Exactly.
Not quite. He might have skinned his head on the ring there, but anyways, looks pretty good.
Yeah, Andrew just wasn't big on this mask and
I've just been
Russian
notified
character.
that
He
Rich Taylor,
didn't.
your
He didn't want to do it
friendly
anymore.
neighborhood announcers entering the studio.
Well,
We
it
asked
looks
him
like
to
it's
do
being
it.
Said to go out and get
It
some
looks
things
like it'd
to
be an
repeat.
awkward mask
Make sure you
to
won't
wrestle.
talk to me anymore in the
Yeah.
ring. The kid's a weasel. 3 minutes left in this match. Airplane spin. Merciless Mike on super Russian destruction.
That was one of Mike's signature moves. Was the airplane spin. Brian, we all would try to interfere in these matches. I don't know why. It's just it was a thing to do. Couldn't let a match go without somebody jumping in. There's Peterson again.
Yep.
It's like Mike doesn't really know what to do with them.
Exactly. They keep
Just think,
jockeying and
it's Andrew's first show, Russian Destruction. Just think, in like 4 or 5 shows, these two would go on to have a vicious shoot title match that Mike was convinced he was going to win, and he never did. And because Andrew would grab the ropes and break the pin attempt, and Mike was furious. He was just livid. Because we didn't decide title matches.
I got a match with Peterson later.
that's what I was going to say when you had your title match
For all he's done. For interfering with
earlier in this episode.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he get it through?
I was going to say at that point in time they were actually shoot matches.
Yeah, they were. They were.
USA Kelsey.
We didn't decide who was going to win. Whoever. Unless you kind of worked it out with your opponent to work the
Right.
match, but most of the time they would turn into
Oh, was
shoots.
that Merciless pinning? Oh, well, that was lucky of him.
And you know why we did that? Because
yes, look at that pile driver, perfectly executed.
everybody
Yeah,
was
hold on.
complaining that it wasn't fair to be the champion. So I said, okay, well then we'll make it fair. We're not going to decide it
Pressure
anymore.
crossing. Taking advantage of the
And that's why I did
announcing
that.
position right at ringside. Once again.
So it was not the right decision to do.
And it's the count of 1, 2, and 3.
We should have never been
Mike
doing shoot
Ackerman.
title matches. But I just, at the time, thought it was the right thing to do. It would be fair.
We'll be back right after this interview.
Hang loose.
You know, there's a guy going around named the Fabulous One or whatever, the Ridiculous One. He's really been bothering me. He's been getting in matches that he doesn't belong in. He's getting mad. And since the Merciless One, the one and only, is going to be handcuffed to him, well, if Merciless gets rammed in the post, I'm going to come up there and kick his butt in. The Crusher is going to make sure. Kelsey, I got you through the training program. I got you through everything you
All
got.
3 of us.
I'm rating you, the professional wrestler, living up to your tactics as you will. Russian destruction, man. I don't think the It's USA against the Russia. That Russian, that ridiculous.
Yeah, we just wanted to do interviews in there while we could.
We're gonna kill him.
Yep.
Here at the TWF Wrestling Federation. Next match, tag team match. Entering the ring at this time, Kid, USA Kelsey, and one half the TWF Tag Team Champions, Madman Nash.
Madman Nash, such a character.
Looking slim and trim on his new weight training program.
He
that he's
was.
going through along with
He
Kelsey.
was a character. He was
And their
funny.
opponents
He could make you laugh. He was a
Coming
jokester.
into the studio right now, the fabulous ones. And Killer Campa, Fabulous Peterson, the Russian Destruction, and some little leaguer, some
So
midget, I
Kid,
don't
what
know
is it? Kid Kelsey and
who you
Madman
kid.
Nash? Yeah, against the fabulous
Rough
ones.
Ryan, and that could
Yep.
Rough Ryan, Russian Destruction. First words we've heard out of you.
Well, I think these guys are pretty excellent. They're called the Fabulous Ones. They're gonna kick butt.
Well, that will remain to be seen.
I will. It will, in fact.
I told you once, Peterson.
Stick it. Out of the ring.
I can take off before you guys.
Little color distortion there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing in the control room. They're messing with something.
Your family against me when you wanted to meet your doom.
No. Too bad we have to win these two first.
This is pretty common in these days, Dave.
Next
These
week,
pre and post match interviews in the ring.
you
did
got
that a
it.
lot.
Even if you lose these two, you got me. But time constraints right now.
Rich Taylor's challenging.
Tag team,
Rich, I
guarantee
think
you,
Rich
everybody
wanted to
feels
kind of get into
I'm
the
coming
wrestling
in
at this
too.
point.
Take it down
Yeah.
ringside.
He wanted to get out of the announcing into the wrestling, but he
25 minutes
never really formally did it, but he wanted to. I remember, so Rich, he was on next week's show, and then he left us at that point because he got busy with some stuff at school. But then when we were in the
Yep.
garage and we were setting up for the garage, Rich stopped by. He was just in the neighborhood. And I remember he got into the ring in the garage, and his head was like a few inches from the ceiling in the garage. He's like, Sean, if I try to announce here, I'm not gonna fit.
They're off and running here. Kid Kelsey and
I never
Fabulous Peterson
forget.
opening it up.
I wish Rich would have came back though. I tried to get him to come back for the first Armory card.
The entire Peters Fabulous
That, you know,
That would have been nice.
For the next show,
Commentate
I
for
would
us.
gladly accept that challenge. Peterson is nothing but a lowly, foul-mouthed, idiotic wimp. And I'll tell him so. And I guarantee any one of the other members of the Peterson family interferes, and they're going to meet their doom.
I don't know why that red keeps coming in the screen. But hopefully they get that.
Yeah.
Talk about my manager like that, I'll break that little nose of yours.
Talk about little. Look at you, dude.
You know, Campa and Nash are
Man, it takes
enemies
two
here.
to
They were
make
actually
one
really
of
good
you,
friends
buddy.
outside that show.
That's cool.
Yep.
The
In fact, they
Rude
became a
March
tag
Rough
team a
Ride.
few shows later.
Actually, right now we got Killer Campa and Madman Nash going at it right now. And Kid Kelsey interfering from behind.
You know, I remember how Kelsey got his name, Kid Kelsey.
Campa taking off to Fabulous One.
You know how that happened?
How's that?
Rich Taylor. He didn't know his name, and he's like, "We got the." I remember because he's announcing, he goes, "We got the new kid. What's your name?" Matt Kelsey's like, "Okay, Kid Kelsey." Yeah, Kid Kelsey. Rich gave him the name Kid Kelsey, and then USA just because he always wore that USA shirt, so he kind of became Kid USA Kelsey from that.
Come on, and he thinks he's real
Gimmick
Yeah.
that I know Matt
big
didn't
on those ropes
wasn't
and-
big on after a while. He didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, he gets beat up a little. Here, Kelsey,
But
why don't you take
He
it?
done. He liked it in the beginning.
Comments of Russian destruction right there.
If you watch Brian Peterson though, like when he does hit people and stuff, he's pretty rough.
He's on the stiff side.
Yeah, very stiff.
Cracker there on the Madman.
Can't tell you how many times we'd get mad at him in the ring wrestling. We just get livid.
Looks like Madman Nash is getting a little upset.
Yeah, Ciampa fell out of the ring and he's pissed. Yeah. Yeah, there was no organization of control in these days. You got wrestlers interfering. You've got, the ref can't seem to handle the action in the ring ever. It's just no. We lacked control back in those days, and organization a little bit.
As Russian destruction interfering now.
Nash slapped him in the face.
As Peterson taking off the Killer Campa in against Madman
Thinking
Nash.
this ain't a title match.
As we
I
got
don't know
1
whether-
minute remaining in this match. 1 minute.
It's Kelsey and Madman Nash. I don't remember who Nash's tag partner was.
Mike Ackerman, they were the champions at this time.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we see Peterson use a chair in this show or not. I told you he did get rough with the chairs too. There's that figure 4. Peterson loved that, using that.
Yeah, I do have to say this
As Madman Nash
this ring was a little small.
Yeah.
Madman Nash submit.
A rare submission. We didn't have a lot of those.
Your winners at a time of 19 minutes and 58 seconds. The fabulous ones, Peterson and Killer Campa. And we'll be right back for the next match at...
I've never been so fed up in my life. This Russian destruction and this
They keep doing these interviews in the lockers.
TV Peterson, whatever his name is. I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take his face, and I'm gonna turn his whole head around like The Exorcist. Then I'm just gonna take him. He doesn't like getting them body slams.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Brian didn't like the body slam. I just remember that.
Yeah, he thinks he's gonna give me. This Russian destruction number 1. Me and him.
Yeah, see, Brian's a little rough throwing us in those lockers. He just...
Where's the jackknife? Well, wait.
Brian's telling me, let me explain jackknife. That's what he said to me there.
Me and him had a little dispute with my contract. I am on my own now. He is out. Suspended for 5 shows. And I am glad. Nobody comes to name Mike and interrupts him. Rams Mike.
We're back here ready for the next match. Contestants already in the ring. We have in this corner weighing in at 45 pounds. 45? Rough Ryan, accompanied by Big Mouth Peterson.
Yeah, my muscles weigh 45 alone. More.
I find that hard to believe.
0.45 ounces, I think.
And his opponent,
I'd like to call Crusher up here. Crusher.
Madman Nash.
Where's Crusher?
1 fall, 7-minute time limit. Let's take it down to ringside. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Rough Ryan and Madman Nash.
Hello, folks. This is a
Of course, Ryan, Kelsey, Betts, your brother.
You're going to be accompanied with Rich
Yep.
Taylor here. Going to help me commentate this wonderful match.
You know, I had a lot of matches with Rough Ryan, surprisingly, as a lightweight wrestler. I mean, I did a lot of matches with Ryan.
He's going to take on this
Huh.
newcomer in the Little League.
We
Rough
just
Giant.
worked together well.
What do you got to say?
You know, I would, when I'd have matches with the lightweights, I tried to help put them over a little bit.
I taught him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Peterson.
you know,
That Peterson's going to meet his doom.
not that
next
I'd necessarily
show.
lose to him, but
Next
I'd like to
show.
let them
I got
have
him
most of the
next show.
match.
Him and his whole family.
You know.
You let him shine a lot during the match.
Yeah, yeah. I did it with Dynamite
I'm
Dude
gonna
too.
tie him. When he gets, when I get
We got
done
a
with
few
him,
matches as
he's
well in
gonna
the
wanna
garage.
kiss it.
I want to get to some of these garage
He's gonna
shows that we
stick his
did.
head
We haven't
between his
seen
knees and
a
kiss his
single
butt
one yet,
goodbye.
Dave. And
Well, you know, you're the one with the footage.
yep. Yeah, we gotta
Madman Nash there,
come up with a garage show one of these days
getting a sleeper hold on Rough Ryan.
from our garage.
Well, maybe
location.
not. maybe after next week we can do a garage show.
Yep. Because next week we'll have a special guest, which we'll talk about later.
Joining me here at ringside.
Yes, I'd just like to say that Peterson's standing over there putting foreign
Yeah,
objects-
Ryan was very new to
foreign
the show
objects
here, so he
in,
doesn't really know anything yet.
in
And
Rough Ryan's hand. See,
he's just a body in the ring.
You couldn't even ask.
Yep.
What's his name?
But
I'm guessing there wasn't a lot of turnout at this taping.
Yeah, and
well, it's not horrible,
Crossen
but yeah,
and
it's like you're seeing the same
Rob
guys quite a bit. Russian Destruction.
Right.
Oh, Peterson and now.
I think the Russian Destruction is because he was the flavor of the day. He's brand new, and everybody wanted to get in a match with him. And
Yep.
Now Peterson coming over there.
Brian, hilarious. He's got Rough Ryan's hat and glasses on.
Peter Pan.
And he looks hilarious with that
As
on.
a fairy.
Well, Kelsey and Ryan's mad, and justifiably so, because Ryan had the ropes.
Nobody attacks Crusher Crossen and gets away with it.
He won the match in 1 minute and 2 minutes and 3 seconds.
He's telling Rich, I think, what the next match is going to be.
Now we have an interviewing Madman Nash coming in.
Madman, always a clown
Well,
in
Madman
his interviews.
Nash,
Always.
how's it been lately? And we gonna
Well, I tell ya, I've been down. I just got back from Hawaii. Me and Mike were down there. We were kicking some butt. Oh, man, we wiped out some of these tough wrestlers that thought they were tough. And then I saw some jerk off, like Peterson down there. This one guy is acting like a jerk, just like Peterson does. And I go, "Is your last name Peterson?" And he goes, "Yeah." I can see it runs in the family. So I just punched out his lights and walked away. And then the kid went and ran to his dad. And his dad was twice as big as me, and, well, he came up and I punched out his lights. Right?
Well, those are words from Madman Nash, and
You bet they are. They ain't from George.
well,
Madman just
Madman Nash
loved to be a comedian.
Another wrestler.
I know I am.
I can tell.
Yeah,
He was that
his-
era Steenerson.
More to come after
Yep,
these
he was that
messages.
kind of style.
Let's
That
get ready for
was
another match.
how he was.
Exciting TWF, the Major League of Kids
But
Professional
but
Wrestling.
Madman could
You want
talk.
to see action
And when he got
as well
mad,
as see it
the
here.
words flowed.
Underway for the next match.
He could really when he
Entering the
was
ring right
mad,
now.
he really that was his
Once
best
again, the
interviews when he was
Mongolian.
mad.
Or a moron, or Mongolian, whatever you want to call him. The Russian Destruction.
Brian and Mike are tied
Brian,
together.
the Fabulous One Peterson,
You have to be.
who is tied,
Even if I decided to cheat, I could be.
Ackerman, and his opponent entering the studio area.
In Russia, we call you guys something like jerks.
Yeah.
We call you guys some like morons in USA.
We call him the USA.
Oh, Rich slapped Brian. He had enough of it there.
As we're rating the rival, Crusher Crossen,
I think Rich felt bad for doing that though.
into the ring area.
I remember him telling me about it. But
Yep.
that's the thing, Brian would get under your skin so much, that would happen. You'd just like. I remember in matches, Dave. I would get so mad, I'd start throwing fists and kicks, for real.
Crusher Crossen.
I can imagine.
I am so fed up. The committee's pushing it. The committee's pushing it. You're doing that.
Yeah.
The bottom of the list.
427 from
You know,
1501.
looking
That was
at
Mike
this-
Ackerman's number.
Well, that yet remains to be seen also, Crusher.
You know, I'm looking at this from a heel's perspective.
Time limit.
Okay.
Down to ringside.
I would complain about the official
Yeah.
if I was on the heel side.
We all had to take turns, though.
Yep.
You had to be impartial, though. When you did it, was the thing. So now I'm getting my match with the Russian Destruction.
Yeah, this is the Merciless, as you know. Look at this. The Crusher is obvious.
There's Andrew from day one had that instinct to get the ropes all the time,
As
right?
you can see, this Russian.
Guy is good.
And again, Russian Destruction was Ace Andrew Carlson in a mask, and it lasted all but this show because next week he gets rid of the gimmick.
I didn't even have to take it. My manners are so well. God, you still point. Oh, that's just rude.
Very. What is this?
You know, looking back, I can see so many things that we could have done with this character.
Goodness.
Oh, the Russian Destruction?
Yep.
Yeah.
He must be the head of the government too. The way you guys are with him.
Hey, we get around. We get around.
So as you can see, we're trying to sell that there's something in his mask.
Crusher's gonna kill him. He's stunned
Yep.
now.
That's kind of where I was going with this,
He's got
with the
something
character.
5, 6, 7. I checked it. Nothing in the mask.
Check it again.
13. Hold on.
Hey, don't tear this rope, buddy. Hag.
Has to be something.
Hey, Crusher, you alright?
Nothing in there. Oh, he's got something. He got something. He's got a wrench.
The famous wrench. One of our famous foreign objects that we would use. The wrench. It was actual wrench.
Yeah.
It was used to put the posts on the stage.
My
So,
goodness,
take
he's
him out.
biting these ropes. Thinks he's gonna get out. No.
Crusher pulls him back in.
Ah, look at this.
Yeah.
I love it.
Get security in here to settle him down.
Hey. Come on, buddy. Hold on a
Settle
minute.
down, you two, and get back tied together like you're supposed to be. Come on, Russian. Outside the ring.
You expect me to even touch those?
I was just going to say he should be calling for a rope break right now.
Yeah, he did. I just didn't want to do it.
I don't want none of that.
Okay. Peterson's on the loose. I'm worried.
I didn't see it. You interfere one more time. That's it.
This
Yeah,
is
Kelsey's
very
calling it down the
confusing.
middle, though.
He's got
Yep.
something in the mask. Crusher trying to take off the mask.
Merciless, thank you for taking over for me. I'm watching that guy's mask. That guy's got something in his mask. I can see it bulging, but Matt Kelsey is too stupid to figure it out. And Crusher Cross is infuriating.
He's winning. I got it. Come on, ring the bell. Crusher Crossing's called. Wimpy ate it, more like it.
As Kid Kelsey found a foreign object in the mask of the Russian Destruction. And Russian Destruction on the upper hand right now versus Crusher Crossing.
I don't know why we didn't call the match right there.
Exactly.
Clothesline there by the
I
Russian
actually
Destruction.
thought that Kelsey was going to call for the bell.
Yeah, no, I think he was going to, but I don't think that was supposed to be the way it was supposed to end. Kelsey wasn't even supposed to find a foreign object.
Right.
Crusher can't win by himself, by his own power. He has to have you, big man. Or I should call you Wimp Man.
Got nothing.
Rich is interfering even.
Hey, Crusher, check your private messages on the screen here.
Sean, don't, Sean. Sean, don't, Sean. It's for soul, Sean.
Where it says private chat on the
Yep.
screen,
You do it, Sean.
check that.
It's Peterson entering the ring as the mask is almost off.
You're out, Peterson. No, stay out, Peterson.
Brian in the ring, and Kelsey's trying to keep him out.
So now Merciless Mike going to work on the mask.
Merciless, get out, get out.
These guys aren't even in the match, and then there's the kind of going off the top rope there. You know, it's hard to do, but
Yep.
How fast, ref?
It's Merciless Mike and Crusher double teaming. If Crusher would have pinned him right there, I would have overruled Kelsey and given him
Okay.
the match to the Russian Destruction. I can. I'm right here ringside. I can overrule Kelsey anytime.
Rich is saying he could overrule Kelsey. A little bit of that was all like, you know, it's.
I won.
Referee's decision is a pin by Crusher Crossen, but I personally rule this match a draw because of the interference of Merciless Mike Ackerman.
Rich, shape up or ship out. Peterson interfered first.
But he also got kicked out, Crusher. Merciless Mike wasn't kicked out or nothing. While Kelsey was, you had one too, Crusher.
That's
I
true.
rule this match a draw.
Rich is actually being honest with all this.
Decision is I won.
Yep.
Here, raise my hand, ref. Crusher, come here. The official decision is the winner, Crusher Crossen.
A little bit of bias there, I guess you could say.
Official decision is a draw.
Well, of course you're training him, so he's got to go on
Official
your side.
decision is a pin by Crusher Crossen, but this will be taken up by the board, by the committee of the TWF. I guarantee you that, Crusher.
Peterson, my man is just as
Peterson
good.
went in. I had no idea. So Peterson caused the match to become a draw.
We'll be right back into this interview. And the Russian destruction.
Yeah, you ruled that one out too?
So now the fabulous ones. Now this would be a title match.
Yep.
I don't know why
Entering at this
the
time, the TWF Heavyweight Tag Team Champions.
It's like the screen
Wild
got-
Boys.
this match came from a different tape or something because it got different quality all of a sudden.
This is the funniest situation.
This tape was dubbed a few times when it was sent out nationwide, so it's sometimes things are taken from different tapes.
Yep.
I think that's what happened here.
I think this is quite funny and quite queer. The ridiculous one. The ridiculous one is his name.
Well, let's take this down to ringside. It's a one fall, 10-minute time limit.
Who do we got reffing this thing? Probably Ryan.
Well,
So the Wild Boys.
Yeah, that's what they called their tag team, Madman Nash and Merciless Mike. The Wild Boys.
Oh, okay.
Waiting the start of this match. Looks like it's going to be Merciless Mike out first against
Oh,
Fabulous One
Rich Walker's the
Peterson.
ref.
10-minute time limit in this match.
Come on, Mike. Let's get him.
I challenge the ridiculous.
I know Rich Walker kind of got tired of being a babyface, and a few shows later he jumps to being a heel.
Tell him what I just said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He'll give you the money, this money here, if you can beat the Wild Boys.
Disqualification?
No,
Pin submission.
yeah. And since I have so much faith, I'm betting all my money.
Yeah, 427-1501 was Mike's number. And you know who called Mike to join the show?
That was wrong. This match is
Who's that?
Pretty Boy Taylor. Steve Engstrom would make that phone call. That's how he got on. Mike was handling all the phone calls for people wanting to join. So, and all the shows.
Mike, I'm sorry. Oh, I was almost gonna have to slap you and get you mad. Let me talk to you. This is my kind of guy.
This ring was just not big enough, you know, for what we were doing.
Exact. I fully agree. I mean,
Peterson interfering. No tag made.
Getting Crossen, wanting us out of the studio was honestly the best thing that happened for the league.
There was a tag.
exactly. I mean, you might not have liked it at the moment, but
Yeah.
Now it's Madman Nash and
it wound up being a positive in the long run.
Because we were just, our growth was so limited in this environment, in this ring and everything. And
This was a fun time.
Don't you touch that radio? Touch again if you're
Did you hear the comments being made? More comments being made in this match than wrestling done.
yeah, Rich is right there.
Exactly.
You guys wrestle on Matt Stone.
And that Russian is.
I couldn't agree more.
Russian.
Lots
you
of
guys,
stalling.
you guys wrestle or the match is thrown out.
What's that?
Rich Walker goes, "You guys start wrestling or this match is thrown out." That's what he said to him.
He's beautiful.
The ref, Rich Walker.
Yep.
As you heard, Mike said, I saw you with the mask off. And of course, I took the mask off him. Now Mike hasn't.
Madman wants to get in there. He's like, "Mike, we got to stay fresh."
With the Russian destruction on the ground, taking out to Madman Nash. As
I don't know if Nash knew how to do the figure four. Though.
Drop over toe hold.
Not everybody knew how that do that one.
No tag. No tag.
Peterson knew how to do it. I could do it.
You don't fight a double.
I disqualified Peterson. What's Peterson? Get him out! Get him out! The Russian guy's supposed to be there, not Peterson.
Okay.
Russian, you out.
Okay.
That's justice, down.
As we'll just kind of sit by.
Ringside has to tell the ref who's legal and who's not.
Right. Now Brian and Mike, they didn't like each other. They would get rough with each other.
There's no. Hey, ref, get that little punk midget wrestler down from there, will ya? He makes me nervous. Thank you.
Out. Out, bro.
Yeah, they didn't like each other for real.
Come
I
on,
mean,
Mike. All right, way to go, Dick.
They shoot on each other for real.
yeah.
There's 5 minutes.
I remember in a few shows after this, there was a classic camera shot of Mike and Brian as they were going to lock up, and Brian just had this look on his face. And you knew. You knew just by looking. They had a close-up on him. You knew. They didn't like each other.
Now it's merciless Mike against Fabulous Peterson.
Maybe by some miracle they'll find out that we're back doing this and
Yeah.
we can finally settle the peace between them.
Yeah. We were so excited to know that we were sending our tape out to all the states, and that was an exciting thing. Mike and I used to get in the atlas and look at all the cities and what the population was, and we figured even if, say, I don't know, 30% have cable, and say only 0.5% are watching our show, that's still like, 20,000 viewers or whatever, right? In some of these cities that
Right.
are so populated. So it's like it was always cool to fascinate on how many people could be watching us.
Well, you figure 20,000 per city.
Against Peterson.
That could have been, 400,000 people watching us.
Yeah. And what I did when I set up those time slots, I tried to get the same time and day in all the cities. So it'd be simultaneous as much as I could.
Right.
But it was a pretty good system. What I did is I would send tapes, I would work it out. So I'd call, I'm trying to think of the routes I had, but it would be like a tape would go to Dallas, which would then go to Miami, which would then go to Atlanta, and then come back to me.
Right.
So, and I would put all the prepaid envelopes with the package so they knew, and with instructions, when you're done airing it, send it to this place. When you're done airing it, send it to this place. And then it would come back. And I'd have a couple different tapes going out in different, same show going out in different usually three cities at a time like that. And it worked. I mean, like I said, that we lost some tapes doing that. Sometimes the tapes didn't make their way back. Color's getting all wonky there.
Superfly Rich Walker seriously hurt outside the ring, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Kelsey taking over
Matt's
as
now the ref
referee.
again.
Rush in against Mike. Get outside. No!
Well, he took the mask off completely.
I do that mask! Get off, Pearson! Get off the mask!
Yeah, you don't see nothing.
Get off, Pearson! Right now! Come on,
Well, you know, they had to buy time for him to get the mask back on.
Needs some
Yeah.
medical attention for Superfly Rich Walker beside the ring.
Mike!
Badly injured.
Hey, his leg! Mike! Come on, you see it. Let go. Oh, no!
Peterson interfering.
Mike, shut up. Mike, Mike!
Oh, that's a point. Peterson better enter the third.
Pearson, you stay out! Oh, oh!
Peterson just does not listen.
Rough Ryan, say a few words.
Well, I'm rough Ryan. I want this cushhead crash. No, I guess not. I want this Mean Dean back in here, and I want to wrestle him. It's too
Interesting.
chicken
Mean
to
Dean.
hold
That's
that
Andrew
thing.
Carlson's brother.
You heard it, folks. Straight from the Rough Ryan. As the match is over,
That's way early, though.
Matt
Dean didn't
kidding,
join this show really until the garage.
kidding. The Russian destruction. Time 9 minutes and 15 seconds.
Here you go, guys. It's all. Oh, is this petty cash?
Petty cash. Oh, nice try. Strike one, fatso.
Brian just getting under everybody's skin. That's what he did. So good. So good at that, though.
Crusher Crossen.
Exactly. And then he leaves him alone.
Yep. So that is our, well, I guess it's credits, I guess, but February of 1985. It's actually January 15th is when it was recorded. So the copyright's not quite correct.
Oh, come on, don't kill kayfabe completely.
UC Video, so that was Group W Cable. Store Cable was Brooklyn Park and that whole Brooklyn Center area. Cable Systems was the South. That was Rogers Cable Systems. That was like Edina, and all that area. And UC Video was Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Oh, okay.
And Group W wasn't just Anoka; it was the whole northern half of this metro. Really, there's like 3 systems. But
Anoka, Coon Rapids,
yep.
Andover, Blaine.
Yeah. So a Group W cable show, they're always kind of tough to watch, Dave, because it's like they're chaotic. They're very, everybody's just, we're so young at that time with the league.
Exactly.
But people want
But you know, that's part of the growing.
requesting it. Yep, people are requesting. They want to see that earlier stuff. So that's why we did an early show this week. But next week, Dave, we've got a special guest coming up.
And it'll be good to see him again.
Yeah, it's been I haven't seen him since the show. So it'll be really great. And of course, we're talking about our special guest is going to be none other than Chad Ronnebaum. Rockin' Ronnebaum. Yep. As we look back at NWF TV Taping 62 from Fred Moore on March 22nd, 1986, where we were in the middle of promoting the first Armory card. So we're talking a lot about the Armory in this show.
It'll be good to see this.
Yep. And a significance
see some of the build-up.
Significance of this show, Dave, this was our 2-year anniversary of the league. So this taping was our 2-year anniversary show as well.
Oh, okay.
And that still shot there, you got Conan the Barbarian power pressing one half of the Rough Russians, Bernie Prescott, one of the lightweight guys. Yeah, everybody
I'm sure Conan took care of him good.
Yeah, he did. I believe he slammed him in that press slam. Yeah, everybody took kind of the bumps in the Fred Moore days, yourself included. But that's
Yep,
going to
that
be
first
next.
match was a brutal one.
Yep. But next week, I'm really looking forward to seeing talking with Chad again. It'd be great to catch up and see what he's all done and what his memories are from back in the day. And Chad had an interesting way with the league. He came in with a guy by the name of Chris Irick, the I. They came in as a team. And I'm going to really be interested in asking him about that because Chris Irick got himself kicked off the show. It was one of the handful of kids that were kicked out of it. We had that. Yeah, and because he was causing ruckus outside the ring with other kids. Just wasn't working out. And but Chad and Chris, they came in as a tag team, but then they kind of went their separate ways for then right away. So they didn't really stay a team. And then Chad, he's a baby face and everything, but then he teamed with the Ice Dragon, and then the team went kind of heel. And so towards the end of the Thrack and Ronabomb, he actually becomes a heel in his last show that he's on. There's a very interesting twist with him. So.
Well, I myself did start off as babyface and then tried to turn heel.
Yep. And you even dropped the Dixie name. You just went to David Dixon at the end.
Yep.
It still worked for DD.
Oh, yeah.
David Dixon.
Now next week.
But by the way, those DD, I remember seeing boots on Dr. Dread that said DD, and I thought, it would be a good idea if you got wrestling boots that said DD. You should have done that.
Well, at one point I did have a pair of red and blue boots.
That said DD?
Yeah, they said DD on them.
Where could those boots be?
I don't know.
One of these days we're going to have to get a hold of Jeff again, aren't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun show this week, though. It's kind of fun to look back at the older ones every now and then just to give us a reality check to see where we are, where we came from, and where we're heading to. But like I said, I'm looking forward to next week with having a special guest. And, you mentioned Matt Kelsey. We're trying to work out a date, but we we're hoping to get him in March. To come on with us sometime, maybe middle of March, maybe the end of March, who knows?
Well, Kid Kelsey, you've accepted the friend request from Crusher Crossen. Get a hold of him. You're welcome on.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see Matt on the show. We got to get him on.
My only question to you, Kelsey, when you come on, do you want to be Kid USA Kelsey, or are you going to be Hot Stuff Kelsey?
Well, if you ask him that, he's going to want to be Hot Stuff. I can tell you that right now. I can answer that for him. But I like to remember Kid USA Kelsey just the same.
Yeah, I know you prefer the Kid USA Kelsey.
No, I like both, but I think it was Kelsey should have been. Here's the thing, Matt Kelsey was a baby face, but should have been a heel from day one. His style, the way he was, he just should have been a heel. And Matt would agree. He loved Ric Flair. He loved the whole Four Horsemen thing. From day one, he was a big time into that. So I think he would have much rather been a heel.
But that's on for another week.
Yeah.
For this week, it's been a good show.
Yeah.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Yep, we'll see you next week, folks.
Have a good one, folks. See you then.